Hey, what's happening everybody? This is the tutorial for the Last Word hand cannon kit found on my Etsy shop. I'll have all the links in the description below. Also, you can check out my Instagram page to see what projects I'm up to currently. In this tutorial, you'll learn the basics of foam work and a little bit of woodwork, and the basics on how to build a prop for your costume or cosplay. Let's check out some of the tools you might need for this build. Hot glue, contact cement, a couple paintbrushes for the glue, a pencil and Sharpie, some masking tape, mostly just for clamping, and a small ruler for a straight edge, some scissors, an X-Acto blade, and then to fill in all your seams at the end of the project, some Quick Seal Dap, preferably in white. This tool is not necessary, but a rotary tool does come in handy for props and costuming, but you can use 80 grit and 220 grit sandpaper. As far as glue goes, if you only have hot glue, you can use that for the entire build, but contact cement works really well to get all your seams tight. Let's get started. If you are using contact cement, I'd recommend buying a wider brush than I bought. It would just make the process go a lot faster. I used a very thin brush, so it took a long time to cover all that surface area. When using contact cement, you're going to want to spread it around evenly and thin, and then let it dry until you stick it together with your other surfaces. If you have too many clumps, what will happen is the glue won't stick together really nicely, and then you might have to use some of your tape to clamp your seams together. In this example here, here's a spot in the middle where it hasn't totally cured. And then this spot where I'm touching, where it's not sticking to my finger, it's good to go. When gluing your core to your foam, you're going to want to start your alignment with the cylinder hole, and then let everything else fall naturally in place, gently pushing down all the edges. When gluing up your other half, do the same method of gluing, but go over all of your edges once more, just so you have a strong hold. If that glue dries for too long, the bond won't be as tight. Here I had a spot where the seam wasn't as tight and the glue wasn't as dry as I'd like, so I'm just using a piece of masking tape to clamp together until the glue sets up. Next we're going to glue up the trigger guard. Coming up with the trigger guard, what I've done is I've used the Dremel to bevel out all the edges to make them nice and rounded. If you don't have a rotary tool, you can use your sandpaper to knock down those rough edges. Once you get your top glued on, I'm just using my knife to trim off the excess at the very end to flush it up against my foam core. bevel out these side pieces, I'm just using my knife at a 45-degree angle, cutting evenly and slowly to get that bevel. If you do have your rotary tool, you can use that to grind away at your bevel. When gluing up your Tex Mechanica logo onto your side foam pieces, make sure you glue the inside edges of your foam and then the outside edges of your Tex Mechanica, just so you can get a seamless bond. I'm not sure what to call these pieces, so I'm just going to call them side pieces again. When gluing up your build-up foam piece onto the bottom of these, make sure that it's centered with the hole on the top side. And then when gluing them together, make sure you do a double coat of glue on the edges that are going to be bent over, just so you can have a really nice firm hold on your glue. If not, it might come apart on you. With your handle, once you get your filler pieces in, make sure you glue up the sides of your handle plus the inside edges of your handle on the foam, just like the Tex Mechanica logo, so you don't get any seams that are shown after. With this piece that goes behind the cylinder, you can use your Dremel or your sandpaper starting at 80, going to 220, to knock down that edge to get a nice 45-degree bevel around the bend. While waiting for the glue to set up on these inserts, I did use hot glue on these false screws. Hot glue is just an easy way to get them in place. You can use contact cement if you are using that. Let's get to work on your cylinder. When doing the glue up for your cylinder, it is important not to force anything into place and just let things sit naturally as you fold the foam around your PVC pipe. And then when cutting off the excess, you can mark it with a pencil. I'm just using my knife here. Don't worry about this being a clean cut. This is going to be hidden by the cylinder hole in the end. When gluing on your top piece of foam, make sure the seam starts in the same spot as your underlayer of foam, just so that when you take off the excess, you won't have two spots where there's seams and only one that you have to hide. Make sure you don't force this in place. Just gently bend it around. you don't want any warp in those holes that you're going to be putting the wood pieces in later. And again, just mark where your seam is and then cut it with a knife to get rid of that excess. With your end caps, you can use your knife or your Dremel to get rid of them, but if you don't have a Dremel, just make sure your knife is really sharp so you can get everything really smooth and not choppy like how I have mine. This is what it looks like with the Dremel. Once everything's put together, with the top edges of your wood, you can take your sandpaper or your Dremel and knock down those edges. With the Dremel, I did a really deep 45-degree angle all along the top edge. If you just have sandpaper, you can just sand away the edge and it should look fine. Now just before sanding your gun down, make sure you take your X-Acto blade and just continue these lines on the top piece across the top of the gun. Now with your 220 grit sandpaper, you can go along all your edges and just make sure you knock it down before filling everything in. Now let's get into using your Dap Quick Seal. Make sure you pick it up in white. You can find this at any local hardware store. It should only be a couple bucks. With the Dap, when it's curing after you've done filling in your holes, it will shrink a little bit. So to get everything flush with the surface, just wait for it to cure a little bit and then add a little bit more afterwards. It is sandable, so if you add a little bit too much, you can always knock it down with your sandpaper. Wherever you see any white on the gun, that's where I added my Dap. just around the seams and in any holes I wanted to fill in. You can use some water on your finger to smooth out any fingerprints afterwards. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you did enjoy this kit. If you want to see more videos, please subscribe and like, and let me know what you want to see next. Again, this kit is found on my Etsy shop. I'll have the link in the description below. And I hope to see you again next time for the next build.